this is Kyle Juszczyk, and you're listening to Nothing But Niners.
This is Charles Haley. You're listening to Nothing But Niners.
So now they've got to start from deep in their end of the field, and Garrison Hurst takes advantage of it. He takes the handoff, sweeps to his right, gets to the 20. He's in the 30. Needs to cut in. He comes back up the right sideline. Breaks the third tackle. Comes down to the 30. He's down to the 20. He's down to the 10. He's down to the 5. He's into the end zone. Touchdown! Touchdown! 49ers! 96-yard run from scrimmage. Garrison Hurst breaking tackle after tackle. Sweeps down the sideline. Throws off bodies like clothes after a marathon.
Young, back to throw. In trouble, he's going to be sacked. No, gets away. He runs, gets away again, goes to the 40, gets away again, to the 35, cuts back at the 30, to the 20, the 50, the 10. He died. Touchdown, 49ers.
Third down, Alex takes the snap. Alex looking, got it, post, and it's got it! Touchdown! Touchdown, 49ers!
It is second down. Ryan takes the snap, throws the slant to the left side. It's Russell intercepted. The 49ers pick it, and Navarro Bowman is redemption. Navarro Bowman running it all the way for the touchdown. No greater redemption.
The San Francisco 49ers. We can do whatever we want.
Click, click, boom. What's going on, faithfuls? It's your boy Mike from the Nothing But Niners crew, and we are back. I know, guys, I made a mistake. I made a big goof. I put 9:45 instead of 9:15 in the start time, and we started going live at 9:15. So for everyone who saw the alert, I sincerely apologize. I don't know, dyslexic. I don't know. I got a little excited watching football and setting up stuff and everything, but we are here, guys. We want to thank you all for rocking out with us, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. Let me run through these formalities really quick, just bust these things down real quick, and then we'll get into the action, all right? If it's your first time here on the YouTube page, do us a favor. Please hit that like, hit that subscribe, and turn on your notifications, okay? This is going to be very, very important. Now, unlike tonight, right? Unlike tonight where we ask you guys to turn on your notifications, usually they're accurate when you do get the alert early. Tony's over there spilling something. I don't know what's going on with my man. But tonight, I made a little bit of a goof, so I apologize. But turn on those notifications so you know exactly when we are going live, all right? Give us a follow on some of our social media pages. We have Snapchat, Instagram, and Twitter. Those handles are Nothing But 9 ERS. That is the number 9, Nothing But 9 ERS. Then we have Facebook and Twitch. You guys can follow us there. That is Nothing But Niners. That is spelled all the way out. You guys want to be part of, the exclusive community over here, man. Guys, patreon.com/NB9ERS is the place to be. Our Patreon page is the place to be. I promise you guys will enjoy it. So get your butts on over there. If you have questions, comments, concerns, suggestions for the show, feedback, or anything like that, guys, you can send us an email, nb9ers@nothingbutniners.com. I'm your guy, Mike Andrews 83, and to my right is my guy, Tony, also known as NJ Niner Fan 499 on the Twitters. What's going on, big dog? How you doing?
Good. What's up, man? Just here to talk a little. 49ers football tonight. I got a good game coming up this week versus the Denver Broncos. I'm watching football myself now on the Prime TV. That's it. I'm sure we got a bunch of shit to talk about. There's a bunch of tweets coming out and questions being asked and stuff like that. But we'll try to cover most of it tonight.
Yeah, we'll have some fun with all this stuff, man. Can you that last one that you sent me? Can you send it to me in WhatsApp? Can you just paste that link to me in WhatsApp? We are gonna have a lot of fun with tonight's episode, so we want to thank you guys. Now we know it's supposed to be TNF, and that stands for Thursday Night Football, but this is gonna be the Niner Fix. That's what TNF stands for here on. What's that face? That's what TNF stands for here on Nothing But Niners. All right, we go live every Thursday night. Oh my God, and Njoku just won't go down. He had to have gotten hit like 12 times right there. That was crazy. But this is going to be the Niner Fix. Okay, this is going to be the Niner Fix. We're gonna have a lot of fun. All right. The sunglasses are gone. I got my eyeball back, guys. I'm good over here. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to rock up. No eye patch. I went to the follow-up this morning. He gave me some prescription drops, and we're ready to rock and roll. Now, let's start with the latest news and rumors around the 49ers. Tony, Talanoa Hufanga is pretty freaking good. Now, I don't remember the last time we had a show. Did we talk about this when the last time you were on? Because I do want to get your input on this.
No, we didn't touch that.
PFF's top 5 graded safeties in the NFL. We're going to skip while reading the whole list, but the top 5 guys here. Number 2 is Talanoa Hufanga for the 49ers. And by the way, he's only behind Minka Fitzpatrick by like less than 0.5% or half a point.
Yeah.
And then number 5 is Deshaun Gibson Sr. All right. So Tony, man, what are your thoughts on how the safeties have performed so far throughout the season? And do you think this is a result of the system, or are these guys actually that good?
I'm going to speak on Hufanga right now, and then we'll go to Gibson. Hufanga, coming out of USC, he was that guy. He was that high IQ, very instinctive football player, always around the ball, flying around, making open field tackles, all that stuff, right? But then the question came in about his speed, where he timed out in the draft process, which was poor for a safety. So they brought him in the 5th round. He actually was awarded the Golden Helmet Award. And that's like a very high standard for the prospects that the 49ers scouting division and Adam Peters, they give this award to people who feel like, talent, off the field, character, work ethic, IQ, all these things, they have elite traits in. And that's why they're awarded that helmet, the Golden Helmet. So, with that being said, we spoke about this last year. Can he be a starter year 1? I think we all agreed on it. No, he was not ready to be a starter. But as the season went on, you saw the team start throwing him in and putting him in situations and actually pulling Tart off the field and putting him in situations with Jimmy Ward. So, it's kind of like they saw something with him, during the season, how he was developing, from week in and week out throughout the remainder of the season. And their eyes lit up, and they honestly feel they found something good in the 5th round, which is an ongoing thing with this team. The one main concern was that time speed. But, we spoke about this ad nauseum. Like, we just keep beating it to a dead pulp. But his IQ and his instincts are so damn good, it makes up for his lack of speed. It's amazing. I've never seen anything like this. He's just that good of a football player in between his years. So, it's a bonus. He's playing lights out. I still think he is going to be tested before this season's over. Teams are going to start scheming to go at him and see how he responds. But listen, so far, going into week 3, I am very impressed. All over the field. Clearly the best top 2 players going in, at this point going into week 3 that performed in this season. I'm very happy with him. The team's very happy with him. And he's almost taking that leader role now that Jimmy Ward's out.
All right, now before you get to Gibson, actually no, let me get your response on Gibson also, and then I'm going to ask you a question about the safety tandem that we've been through, a couple of questions about the safety tandem. So that I did discuss this on here. Were you not on the Tuesday show?
Oh, that was with me, you, and Breezy, but we left.
I thought we just. All right, never mind. Maybe we didn't discuss it. So,
no, you stayed on.
Yeah, but I wouldn't have discussed that without you guys. At least I don't think I would have. Maybe I would have. All right, I don't know, but I'm sorry. So I'm glad we're talking about it now, though, because I do like to get everyone's input on it, and people like hearing from you guys as well. Part of the reason that people tune in to our channel is not all the different, everyone's discussing this stuff, right? But they want to hear what Tony has to say. They want to hear what Wayne has to say. So, and here they just want to make fun of me because I like Kello Witherspoon. I see you guys in the chat. Y'all ain't low. Y'all ain't low. Sorry, I love y'all anyway. But go ahead, man. So your thoughts on Deshaun Gibson Sr., man? My man has bounced around all over the NFL, and he's here and doing some doing, right? Like, what's going on with him? Is this a fluke? Is this the system? Like, who is this guy?
No, definitely. They picked him up. He actually played, I believe, in Jacksonville when Saleh was there. So the base of the defense I believe that was under Gus Bradley, if I remember correctly. The base of the defense, I think so, yeah. So the foundation of the defense is pretty similar to what that was in Jacksonville. Obviously, D'Amico Ryans came in and put his twist and touch onto this defense and made his adjustments going forward, as he should, because he is the new defensive coordinator. But the fundamentals are there. So it was an easy sign to take him and be like, okay, listen, we're going to get him on the practice squad, see how long it takes him to adjust. Bro, he was active for week 1. He was signed like what? The last week in preseason? He jumped right up to the week 1, and then they kept him on there as a permanent player on the active 53 now. So he's not going to be going back and forth, I don't think, anymore. So it speaks a lot. It was a great play by Hufanga. I honestly said when I think we were watching it live. Oh, no, we weren't watching it live because you were at the game. In text message, Hufanga should have made that pick. It should have been Gibson. It should have been Hufanga. It went right through his hands. But still, the instincts, he broke on the ball, deflected the ball, and Gibson was at the right spot at the right time and made the pick. It was a great play by Gibson, but Hufanga definitely should have came down with the ball.
Even more impressive, and all right, maybe not more impressive. The tip was very, very impressive, right? But Hufanga's ability to identify the rest of the field. I don't know if you noticed, as soon as he saw that Gibson grabbed the ball, he broke to the other side of the field because that was the open side. That was where if Gibson had followed him over there, he had a convoy in front of him. It probably would have been a pick 6, or he would have ran out of gas. But
I'm telling you, he's got a very
that way to start blocking immediately. It was very impressive.
He's got a very high IQ, that kid, man. He's got a very high football IQ, and it just seems like he's always a step ahead in the game. And listen, it's going to happen where he gets beat. I'm telling you, it's going to happen. People are going to put him in tough situations where he needs to make a decision, and it might not be the right one. But I think his just ability as a safety, and they're doing this without Jimmy Ward. So imagine when Jimmy Ward comes back, how much better it's going to be on the back end. And to be honest with you, I think Hufanga and Gibson are playing better than when Tart was back there with Jimmy. And I'm not saying Gibson's better, but it doesn't seem like there's a drop-off in communication. It's never, timeout. I got to stop.
You're getting to the questions I'm going to start asking you a little bit, so I like where you're going here. Go ahead.
Because the St. Brown touchdown versus the Bears, I still don't know who that guy. I don't have the playback option. I just keep watching the highlights on like YouTube, and I still can't figure out whose assignment that was.
Right.
I still can't.
That's all right. It's all good. So this is actually going to lead to my next point. Teams weren't afraid to take shots on the 49ers the last 4 or 5 seasons. And when I say shots, I mean downfield passes. Tony, we haven't seen any. The first game we know with the Typhoon game. All right. Then this last game, it's Geno Smith. Are these two guys benefiting not only from the system, but the fact that teams aren't trying to go deep on the Niners?
I think they're
benefiting from that.
I think they're benefiting from the front four. I think with the pressure that the front four applies, granted they were not getting home as much as I thought they would versus Seattle. I thought they were going to be a lot more sacks, but I just feel that the consistent generating pressure from the front four is causing the quarterbacks to drop their eyes and stop looking at the deep and come closer for a quick dump off. So I think it works hand in hand. And to be honest with you, Travarius Ward and Mosley are playing lights out at corner. Those two guys are playing really sound football, and it's tying in all together because of that defensive line. You understand what I'm saying? It is a well-created defense if you look at it. And this is me taking my 49er hat off and all. I'm saying as a football person, the way they constructed this defense, you have speed outside, you have speed at the second level, you have speed at the defensive line. The back end is where you're lacking. But when I coached, I wasn't a defensive coordinator. I was more on the offensive side, but I used to coach the linebackers. And I remember our defensive back coach was 100% pounding in your head. Nobody gets behind you. Nobody. So if you want to drop an extra 5 yards, nobody gets behind you. And think about it, right? So if you're lined up at like 12 yards and you drop another 5 to 8, you're at 20 yards, right, from the line of scrimmage. With that pressure coming in as fast as it could, it's hard to get that read and launch it. You know what I'm saying? So it kind of works hand in hand. The deficiency of the speed works with the pressure of the front.
Now, we did see the one shot that Geno Smith did take. It was actually a completed pass, but there was a flag on the play. The Niners benefited from it. Do you think that that's something that, and we're not going to do the whole game preview right now, or not in depth anyway. You think that's something that Russell Wilson sees and is familiar with the Niners? We can do these things. We can get penalties on this team going deep. Do you think that's something that we see a little bit more of?
I do think Russell will test them. But I just feel their speed guy, Judy, I know they have Hamlin, but Judy is really in doubt for this week because he's still yet to practice. And today's Thursday? So that doesn't, sound good for them. But the deep guy doesn't look like he's going to play. Hamlin might be able to take that rollover, but I don't see any other deep threat on that team off the top of my head. I don't know the roster offhand. But I just will tell you this. Russell Wilson's going to be facing – in my opinion, Russell Wilson looks like a different quarterback. He doesn't look like he did when he was with the Seahawks. He doesn't have that dominating run game like he had with Marshawn Lynch consistently handing the ball off to him, or even Chris Carson and towards the latter part of his career with the Seahawks. So – and I think the Niners – defensive line can give fits to that offensive line. So I just think if the Niners can play their game, run the ball, possession, ground and pound, possess the ball high, I'm looking for between 35. I'm probably looking at 35 attempts this game with the run game, but that's a different topic. But I just feel if they can get home, Russell doesn't move as fast as he used to. I don't know if you noticed that, but he's not as quick or twitchy anymore. He'll move, but he's the type of guy that's going to be like, okay, I see something, I'm just going to run, and then I'm going to slide. So he's that type of quarterback where Dre Greenlaw, you have to play discipline. Aziz, you have to play discipline. You can't come in flying with your head at the last minute because he's going to bait you, and he's damn good at it. So this is going to be a very disciplined attack on the defensive side of the ball.
Okay. All right. I like it, man. We're going to see what these guys have. And the good thing is this is what I will say. Jimmy Ward is a better guy to cover deep. So by the time teams start testing us deep, Jimmy Ward will be back there. I think the interceptions kind of falter a little bit when that happens, but the coverage will improve deeper down the field. And fortunately for us, we haven't seen a lot of that happening just as of yet. So I like it a lot. Now, we have a couple of other things that we need to get to here. So let's keep these things moving here. We did talk about the 53-man roster and the changes and all that, right? On Tuesday with Marlon Mack. We discussed that already. Okay, yes. Good. All right, so more 49ers news, okay? This is going to be all the stuff that's going on with the team right now. Jackhammer says here, the 49ers offense has the 7th best starting field position in the league through the first 2 weeks. They were ranked 29th in this category last season. Towards the bottom of the league last season, here we are towards the top. Tony, what do you attribute this to? Do we have a phenomenal return guy? Is the defense just that good? What is happening with the Niners this offseason or this season so far that we have such good starting field position?
I just think it's a combination of our defense, and I think it's a combination with the defense and the special teams. I do think the coverage units in the regular season look a lot better. There's a lot. They're what happened?
I think Trubisky's hurt. I saw him drop to his knee. Oh, he stood back up. Sorry, I saw him drop to his knee.
No, it's fine. I just feel that they're more well coached and they're playing with a lot more aggression. It seems like they added 3 nice pieces to their special teams. We spoke about it all off season. Odom, Burks, and Ray McLeod. So they're nice pieces. Not a lot of teams could sit there and say, I want to spend money to improve my special teams, because a lot of teams don't have the ability to do that. The Niners figured a way to do it this year, and they did it, and it's paying off. Travarius Ward is turning into an excellent gunner. Several times I've seen him on punts being the first man down there. I'm guessing Odin's playing the up back role or the other gunner. Burks is flying down on tackles, so the coverage is there today. They're getting downfield. They're surrounding the returner. They're not giving anything up. And that's pretty much it. And that's what you want to see.
Yeah, now he said the Niners starting field position, which is a reflection of when we are receiving punts and receiving kickoffs. It's not a reflection of how we are when we're the ones that are punting and kicking off. I wonder what those numbers are like, how the opponents are starting. You know what I mean?
I think it's pretty fine, especially when Seattle didn't cross the 50. I think they crossed the 50 twice this week, 3 times maybe, one on the penalty, and that was it. I mean, even Chicago didn't get down the field over our 50 a lot. They had the blown assignment, the 2 blown assignments.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think it's offensively. I think it could be pertained to offensively, but I think it's more pertained to the defense, how the defense is playing and how they're covering those kicks.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I like it. You were talking about something with Hufanga. You said that last year they started mixing him in with Ward, right? Even when Tart was healthy. Now, we know this team likes to groom guys for the next season. All right. We're seeing a little bit of that now with Aaron Banks replacing Lincoln Tomlinson, and in my opinion, through 2 games, playing better than what Lincoln was playing. I don't know if you agree with that or not, but that's how I see it. You can let me know. Do you think that's what was going on last year with Hufanga? And if so, can you name other players that you think that happened with as well?
Trying to think. Hufanga is definitely one of them. Banks, we all know Banks' situation. Kyle said he felt he was ready to start last year, but the offensive line came together as a unit. So, that's that. Burford, you really can't say because it's his first year as a starter. Brendel, he was the backup center all year last year. He's the starter. And I got to be honest with you, the interior offensive line, which was a major worry coming in my opinion, I think they're playing pretty damn well. And they faced a big man in Al Woods last week who was a true nose tackle and lined up head on with Brendel and, outside shoulder on Brendel in between the guard, the A gap. So that's a challenge, for new guys, inexperienced guys. Communication's key. I sent you a couple clips today. I think the kid Brad Graham, I think his name is. He made a couple nice posts on Banks, and it seems like Trent Williams and Banks are just about there. Communication and knowing the way they play, and playing together as a unit. So it's going to be interesting to see, how this line continues to progress. I mean, they're going to be facing a decent pass rusher in Gregory this week. They have the Chubb as well. They have DJ Jones, former 49er, on the interior. So I think it's going to be a little bit of a handful for Brendel and Banks or Burford, wherever they line up. But I just got to be honest with you. I was very impressed with Burford and Banks this week. And Brendel, I thought they played well. There was
zero sacks. Yeah, there were 0 sacks and only 2 pressures between the 3 of them.
Consistent push. Even McGlinchey played okay. Like McGlinchey's play improved, and it's not the pass side of it; it's the run blocking. I seen him get down twice. When they come out in unison and they take their step play side and they just go and they just move that wall down and they just first guy in front of them they lay him out. And I saw McGlinchey do it twice. So, they're not perfect. They still have a lot of work to do. They still have to continue to gel and be on the same page and develop that continuity. But it's better than what it could have been.
Yeah. I do think that Brendel was being groomed all along to take Alex Mack's job. I do think that Aaron Banks was being groomed to take the job from Lincoln Tomlinson. And I do think Hufanga was being groomed all along to take the job from Tart. Tart was available 3 times this offseason. One when we let him go. Then after he signed, then he was a free agent for a little bit. We still chose not to bring him back in. Then he signed and then was released again, and they still said, nah, we're good with Hufanga. And I don't think that there's anybody out there saying, yeah, we made a mistake. So it seems like this team has a good idea of what they're looking for. And that's going to lead me to my next question to you before we start looking into this game. The corners that we have. This is Emmanuel Mosley's last year. You mentioned how well they're playing on the outside, right? Do you think Mosley gets extended, or are they working on something with Lenore, maybe Thomas? Like, what do you think is happening? Or, and we also still have to worry about other guys coming back like Jason Verrett, who should be back up and suited up in 2 weeks. Jason Verrett and Jimmy Ward both should be healthy. I don't know if Verrett makes it to the active 53, but this is very interesting. What do you think?
Yeah, no, it's a good point. I just feel that, like you said, this team has a pattern, right? When they're ready to make a decision on a player it's about to become in the last year of his deal, going into free agency, the final year, they make a move for somebody, or they start developing somebody. My personal opinion, and I'm kind of glad Breezy's not here because I don't want him to get upset. I think they lost a little confidence in Ambry Thomas, and that's why they went out and spent the money they did in Travarius Ward. There is a possibility where they could turn around and say, listen, Mosley, we want you back. It doesn't hurt. We want you back. This is where we're at. And if they can come together similar to like a Dre Greenlaw, like see how Dre maneuvered the money and came, the Dre Greenlaw deal is a pretty fair deal, if you ask me, for both the player and team. Well, it's going to be interesting. Listen, these guys love the culture in that building, right? And it was set by Kyle and John. So some of these guys might say, listen, I'll take a couple million less to stay here. So he could be the perfect scenario, Mosley. And, if it doesn't happen that way, you have Lenore, you have Thomas, you have Verrett. But the question with Verrett's getting up in age. He's coming off an ACL, right? So now you're willing to bank on Verrett, God willing, and I'm pulling for him, but the track record isn't there. He comes back, he plays well, you extend him to another deal, and what happens, God forbid, he gets hurt. Now you're forced to depend on Thomas and Lenore. So it's just going to be something you have to keep an eye on. You have to watch, because this team is very slick in how they do things with rotations and stuff like that. So the rotations will tell you a lot on what this team thinks about the next guy up for 2023.
All right, let's start talking about this Niners team, man. Let's start looking at some numbers here, man. Tony, I found this page here on NFL.com. We're going to do a little bit of comparing and contrasting 49ers to the Browns. I don't know if you can see this here, but what this says here, total first downs for the 49ers, 42. They've only allowed 29, which is interesting considering how many penalties we had in that first game. This is two games, right? This is two game only? Yeah, through the two games, yeah.
So it's not being updated as this game is being played. Because you said it was the Browns.
No. This is the 49ers right here. I have another one for the Browns.
I thought you said the Browns. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I have this for the Niners and the Browns. This is just the 49ers right here. Okay. So the 49ers have earned 42 first downs while their opponents have only allowed 29. And then there's the breakdown of how the first downs come. But then here you have the third down conversions, right? And I thought this was very interesting. The Niners here are they're allowing just 33% of third down conversions to their opponents. I think that's interesting. And if you look at
46%, maybe
43, 44, or about 44% converting on our third downs. And fourth downs, we're doing not too good. Just under 50% there, probably about 40% as well. But then you see total offensive yards. We in two games, 300. I'm sorry, 300. I was going to say an average of 352. 704 yards of offense for the Niners. We've only allowed 420. Then you can see the number of offensive plays, 137 versus just 103. We're getting these guys off the field quickly. You see the total rushing yards, 365 versus only 135 through two games.
But look at the average yards per play.
Right.
And
4.4
stats, like never mind. I'm not going there, but whatever. It's a whole yard over the opponent, and it's 5 yards a pop, over 5 yards a pop.
Yeah. Yep. Running the ball. Yeah, absolutely. And then even with the passing game, if you want to look at that now, the passing game is where the Niners are struggling. This is a concern. Only 28 completions, where we've allowed 32 completions. We've thrown 1 interception. We have 3 interceptions. We're averaging 6.7 yards of completion, while our opponents are averaging just under 6. We have 3 sacks. No, that can't be right. We've allowed 3 sacks, and we have 4 sacks in total on the season. And the field goals were at 75%, 4 total touchdowns for the team. We don't need to see the rest of that there. But the important one there for me is third down conversions, what we're allowing versus what we're getting. And if you look at the Broncos, this is where it gets really interesting to me. The Broncos are also in the third down conversions there. That's exactly 33% as well. That's incredible, right? Now they're less than 50% also. What is that? 11 of 27 it said? 11 of 27 is 40%. So let's just say 41. Let's round up. We're a little bit better than them there. But if you look at their passing yards, this is where it's really different here. The 49ers, I don't know if you guys remember, it was like 6.7. They're doing a yard more than us per completion. They have a just as good of a field goal percentage, and they also only have 2 touchdowns. All right, where the Niners have 3. This is going to be an interesting game. This is going to be, I think, strength against strength. You know what I mean? Our pass defense seems to be playing pretty well. Their passing game is their bread and butter. Their rushing game is not as good. But is it because they're not running the ball as much? They're up at 4.9 yards a carry in the rushing game, where the Niners were at 4.7. You know, now the Broncos are allowing 4.2. That bodes well for the Niners. That bodes really, really well for the Niners. Any of these numbers stand out to you? Anything that you want to touch on here with what we're seeing here?
I just feel like it just tells you what the 49ers are about. They're about playing defense and running the ball, right?
Yeah.
And it screams it. It screams it in the stats. Like our passing stats are off balance compared to what Denver does because they're more of a pass-heavy team than the 49ers are. So the numbers are going to be better because they're doing it more. They're getting more yardage per attempt, and it's more time with the air with the ball traveling through the air in the game than the 49ers do when they pass, right? So I just think now with Trey out, I think it's going to be the 30 to 35 rush attempts again, and everything will be off the play action. This is what Kyle Shanahan wants to do, right? Because he's sick and tired of the defense always being gassed in situations when they can't get the passing game and it's sputtering and get it off the ground and making throws down the field. Now, you know, we'll get into something else a little bit later in the show, but it seems like, I don't know if it was because of the game plan and the way Jimmy came in a situation that he came in with, and Kyle stuck with the game plan for Trey, but Jimmy made a couple throws outside the numbers and made a couple throws downfield. And it's, you know, he made a couple nice ones and then he made a couple bad ones. So it's typical Jimmy situation. So that's why I just feel that the 49ers are a run team. The 49ers are built for the playoffs. They're not going to be a team that blows through a schedule, blowing teams out. They're going to do enough to win the games. And then when it's time to face this team in the playoffs, that's where everyone gets like, holy shit, we got to face this team. All they do is run the ball and play defense, and that puts your offense on the sideline. So a good running game, right, is your best weapon because it's A, killing the clock, B, you're possessing the ball, C, you have to score when you're holding the ball on an 8-minute drive in a quarter. Your defense is resting for 8 minutes, but then it's keeping the offense on the sideline, and they're not allowed to get into a rhythm. So championship teams have good run games. I don't care what anyone says. And the perfect example for it was the Buffalo Bills and Jim Kelly. They threw the ball all over the place. They screened the ball all over the place. Yes, they tried to run the ball, but they weren't a team that was going to line up in an I formation or a split back formation with 21 personnel and continue to run the ball game, maintaining success and getting success on drives, meaning first downs and putting points on the board. So everyone wants to rip Kyle for, not running the ball in the Super Bowl. Well, guess what? My man's on an average of 32 and a half, I think, attempts a game.
He's doing what he wants to do.
Let's see what we do. And that's it. That's what we're going to do. This is what Kyle wanted to do. He wants to run the ball and let this high-powered defense do what they need to do when they need to do it. Mute. You're on mute. You're on mute.
Shit. Sorry. Good catch. I said you mentioned something about Jimmy throwing the ball downfield a little bit more outside the numbers and all. We might as well go ahead and get into this right now because this is going to be something that is going to blow up on Twitter, I'm sure. This is going to be something that people are talking about. Did you happen to catch the pressers today, or did you at least know where we're going with this, right?
I didn't catch the presser. I saw the tweet on Twitter, and there's a reason behind why that tweet was put out there.
All right.
So
for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, we are going to play a video here. This is from the 49ers presser today. This view and angle specifically from the reporter who asked the question, Grant Cohn. So let's take a look at this here and see what's being said. I want to make sure you guys can hear it.
And you were really pushing the ball down a little more than you had in the past couple of years. Is that something that you're consciously would you like to do this year? Is push the ball down the field?
I love that. Yeah, I mean, it's just there's a lot of things that go with that, obviously, but yeah, I love doing that stuff. In 17, there was a freedom where me, the receivers, tight ends, we had a good chemistry going, and I mean, when you get that with offensive skills in a quarterback, it makes for a tough offense.
Do you feel like you had that freedom last week just because you were coming from the bench, or do you anticipate to have it the rest of the season?
I don't know. I mean, that's a fair question. I think we'll see that as we go forward, but I don't know. The more freedom you have as a quarterback, obviously you play better, you're more confident, and good things will happen.
And you were really pushing the ball down the field more than you had in the past couple of years.
All right. So that's the quote there. Tony, you said that this was asked for a reason. First, before you give a response, questions like that are why I like Grant Cohn. Let me be clear here. Those are the questions that we all have been wondering, right? How many times have we discussed just on this show, is Kyle holding the quarterbacks back too much? Is he too controlling? You know what I'm saying? We've asked these kind of questions here, and the reason why we've asked it is because Jimmy Garoppolo has gone to the podium before and said things along the lines of, I just run the plays that are called. I throw where the play is designed to go, things like that. So it's interesting when that's what comes out. And now this. What are your thoughts on this here? And go away with it wherever you want.
Well, here's the thing. We all know Grant for being Grant, right? So what does he do? He knew Jimmy Garoppolo's in a situation right now where he don't give a shit. He was brought back. He's a little mad that Trey was the starter, whatever. As much as he says he gets along with Trey and everything's good, it is what it is. So he found the weak spot in Jimmy and he attacked it, right? He knew Jimmy was going to talk, okay? Grant went after Kyle with the whole thing, with the choice of running selections with Trey Lance, whatever it is, what it is. So he went to Jimmy now, knowing after he saw him throw the ball, he went to him saying, all right, let's see what I get out of Jimmy. And Jimmy bit. Jimmy spoke. All right. So that's good. Grant did his job. He got the player to speak, but let's just pull the reins back a little bit. All right. And let's look at Jimmy's history of throwing the ball down the field. And let's see, is it Kyle holding him back just to be a control freak, or is it Kyle holding him back because he's not 100% confident in his deep ball placement and accuracy throwing the ball down the field? Okay, we're going to throw up a couple exhibits. The Super Bowl could have been a walk-off touchdown, overthrew Emmanuel Sanders by 5 yards. Inaccurate. Right? How many times do you see Juszczyk go on a wheel route down the sideline with nobody standing there and he has to do a pirouette and the ball's over his head? That's two. Number two. Number three.
You asked how many times. I've seen it happen 3 times in total.
But I'm just saying that's number two. I did number one, number two, number three. Versus the Cowboys in the playoffs, Brandon Ayuk was wide open on a shallow crosser. Had the whole left sideline, nobody there. He forced the ball out of bounds. He threw the ball so bad it went out of bounds and pulled Ayuk out of bounds with it. It was a catch, but the ball was not thrown in the right spot for Ayuk to make the catch and then turn up the field and get yak, right? So these are ball placement issues. They're accuracy issues. It's not that Jimmy cannot throw the ball down the field. I mean, anybody can make a throw down the field. The question is it going to be accurate? Is the placement going to be okay? Is the velocity going to be okay? So it's kind of like, is Kyle being a prick doing this? Or is Kylie truly not 100% confident in Jimmy going down deep down the field? Now, another factor that we have to throw into the mix, the shoulder surgery. Was it that big of an issue? And was it that big of an issue? And that's why Kyle dialed it down.
And did they correct something in the shoulder surgery? So I know we didn't get the results that we wanted from D Ford, but D Ford did make a point and said that this team found something in my back that I never knew was an issue. I don't know if you remember that. He never came back healthy. He never finished the season with us, but he did say that we found something that was an issue that we had no idea about. Did Jimmy go through this surgery and maybe they fixed something or, found something in there that now maybe he is a little bit more comfortable throwing the ball downfield? Or was
Correct.
it part of the game plan? When I was on with the Hive last night, this was something that we discussed, not this tweet in particular, but just seeing Jimmy throw the ball downfield and outside the numbers toward the edges, and what we concluded was Kyle had to stick with the game plan. There was a shot to Danny Gray. There was a shot to Ray McLeod, and then there was a shot to the tight end that was completed, so these things were part of the game plan. Jimmy didn't practice with the guys all week, and
Right.
You can't change up the game plan for the other 11. I mean, for the other 10 players. You got to do it for, the game plan has to stay the same for the 10 players, and now you're going to ask the backup to come in there and do those things. So just something else to put in the back of your mind,
And another thing, like it's something stupid, something so easy, stupid, simple, easy, whatever you want to call it. He makes the hard throws, but he can't make the easy throws. Does that make sense? How do I explain this? Like, I'll give you a perfect example. They showed them practicing today. Okay, all it was a drill. It was a fake toss to the right, pull it, boot to the left, and throw to the coach. The coach had to jump fucking 3 feet in the air to catch the ball. The next play, Purdy did it. Purdy put the ball right in the coach's chest. Didn't have to move. So it's those throws. If you're struggling making those throws, if you're struggling like even over the middle at 12 to 15-yard range, how many times you see him sail it over George Kittle's head and the safety picks it off, right? It's things like that where Kyle schemes people open on every play. And if you ask a fan, like if you do a show, if you're going to do the show with the Denver Bronco person that we mentioned, that we spoke about in the chat, he's going to.
You can say we announced it. Ben Allbright is definitely coming.
So if you do, I'm sure Ben Allbright will admit to this, and he's a very intelligent guy. I love him. I follow him on Twitter. He's a great follow. He will say consistently, Kyle Shanahan has somebody open. So if somebody's open, why isn't Jimmy having success? Why isn't he blowing it up? You have opposing teams saying, it's very hard. It's very hard to defend when people are consistently open. Someone's always open on one play with Kyle Shanahan. It's by design, right? You've heard it. I've heard it. So then if that's the case, Jimmy's numbers should be better than what they are. And that's it. Now, I was one of them. You were one of them. A couple other people. We wanted to move on from Jimmy. This is Trey Lance show. Let's get him in here. Let's develop him, whatever, but we can't. Now, Jimmy's the quarterback of the 49ers now again, and we have to deal with it, and we just have to move forward because we cheer for the 49ers and not Jimmy Garoppolo. So that's what I think about it. Grant was doing his job. He attacked Jimmy. Jimmy was the weak link. He opened his mouth. He talked. It is what it is. But what we have to decide is Kyle doing this intentionally, like saying, I want everything under 5 yards with Jimmy, Or is there a legit reason where he's not 100% confident that Jimmy can make the throws at the depths that he's going to scheme people open at? That's the main issue, and nobody has an answer. I'm interested to see this week how he looks. With the surgery, he had a full week of practice and preparation as a part of the game plan, is involved in the game plan, and I want to see what it looks like, and that's going to tell you a lot.
I will say this. Chicken or the egg, I don't know what exactly the reason is, but if Jimmy's going to keep talking like this when he gets to the podium and he's asked questions about why he doesn't throw deep or why he was throwing deep more and things like that, if he's going to keep saying that, I hope that Kyle hears this and says, okay, I hear you. Let's see what you got now. And then he incorporates a full game plan with short, intermediate, and deep passes in there. And I want to see this guy start to execute. I want to see this guy. I want to see him not go to the first read because that's what Kyle said to do. But see, the first read is there for 5 yards, but that guy is wide open down there for 15 or 20. And I want to see him make that decision and let it go. And I would be okay with losing if that's how we're losing. But this safe dink and dunk when we're down 2 scores and there's 2 minutes left in the game, that kind of shit irks me. I'm not going to – that's when I start getting a little upset. So I say it's time to see what Jimmy can do. He's got to take off the gloves and let it rip, man. I want to see it.
I kind of sense that persona, that attitude and presence in him that, he don't care. He's at the point right now, he knows he's not a part of his team's future. It's a 1-year rental for him. He's trying to get himself paid, and I think he's going in with a different mentality. I really do. I think he don't give a shit. He's just going to go and throw the ball. And, that will be a tell-all too. That's going to tell you, was Kyle holding him back? What's the reason why Kyle holding him back? Why was he so inaccurate on some throws? Why? Was it because of the shoulder? Was it because of the thumb that was never corrected? We don't know. We are on the outside looking in, trying to, as content creators and people that are just football fans and Niner fans, we're just trying to figure this out from the outside looking in. So it is what it is. Someone just put in here, 2019 Jimmy, I want 2019 New Orleans Jimmy. Well, go back and really analyze that game. There wasn't that many deep throws down the field, and the deepest throw was by Emmanuel Sanders.
Yeah, so I made that face like, I don't know if that's the one you want, buddy.
Confidence-wise, yeah, you want that Jimmy to make those quick snap decisions, but, okay, but who's calling the plays? Kyle Shanahan. Yeah, the same guy everybody wants to fire because he drafted his guy who he thought could be another element of the offense, and he got hurt on a non-designed run play. So it's like, where are we going with this?
We have a super chat here from my man Niner Nick, DJ Niner Nick on the 1s and 2s, my guy. Says Jimmy G just doesn't look confident in his long ball. Other QBs, it's second nature. As a kid, in high school, I wanted to be the quarterback. I'm out there and I'm throwing some passes and things like that. And not for nothing, it's kind of like how the NBA is, right? Everyone wants to shoot the 3-pointer now, right? When I was a kid and I was growing up, I didn't want to dink and dunk as a quarterback. I wanted to throw the ball downfield, and I like the big plays and the splash plays. And that kind of goes to what Niner Nick is saying here. It's second nature for everybody else. That's what people want to do, yet we don't quite get that confident feeling it doesn't look like Jimmy wants to do it. Do you agree with what he's saying here, or do you disagree, or what?
I agree and I disagree. You're saying that he doesn't look confident in his long ball. I agree with that. But I do think I think he does want to make a couple throws down the field. But let's take a step back and let's analyze how Kyle Shanahan's offense runs, right? It's heavy run. It's predicated on the run. 30 to 35 attempts a game. Some games you might even get more. It depends on how the flow of the game goes, right? So the success of the run game will set up the play action pass. And that's where Jimmy can make his money in this system. When the linebackers come up, everything goes behind them. So, again, attacking the middle of the field. Debo's play is going to go up now. Ayuk's play should go up now. So it's going to be, if Kittle ever comes back, his play could go up. So you might get all these weapons back in like a perfect storm, if you will, with Kyle at the helm running his offense, because we talk about this until we turn blue in the face. He could run a play out of a certain personnel group and then come back 15 plays later, run the same play out of a different personnel group, and it'll be attacking downfield. So,
And
you know,
Piper, good.
No, you're good.
Piper, we're not saying that you got to throw the ball downfield all game long. We're saying when it's there, take the shot. That's all we're saying. That's all we're saying. We're not saying all game long that's what you got to do. We know that's not the case. Now, I do want to ask you this question. You mentioned Kittle returning. So let's do this one here. We got another screen share here, another video. Now, last week we had a video of George Kittle, and I, for one, didn't think it was the best looking video out there. But let's oh shit. Sorry about that, guys. Let's take a look at this video together and tell me, Tony, does Kittle look better than he did when he first practiced on Monday or Tuesday this week? All right. So let's do a screen share here. Now, in my opinion, last when we saw Kittle on the field, he looked a little not gimpy, but cautious. All right. What do you see here on this play? Okay.
Do the
Yeah, I'm gonna. No, I'll take it off. Hold on, give me a second. I got it. It's just too many freaking windows here. All right, boom and boom. All right, and play.
10 times better. I could just see it right there. He looks 10 times better than he.
All right, 10 times better. You say, huh?
I think so, because the last time we saw him, they weren't even doing that, where it's actually full go and he's engaging and pushing. He was just jogging during warm-ups, and you saw him
you saw everyone else running, and he was more like a labored jog. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this now. After this game, who do we play? Is it the Chiefs?
Hold on. Can I just ask you what groin? What groin is it? The right or the left? What? Yeah, I'm asking you because if you saw
groin?
you have two hamstrings. You have the groin muscle on the right and left leg.
I just assumed that the groin was just the groin.
Well,
I didn't think
it goes into the upper leg, into your crotch area. I don't know.
No, you're right. I understand. I understand what you're saying, right? So I had a groin injury, and one side hurt more than the other side, right? So
Exactly.
I completely understand what you're saying, but I've never heard anyone say which groin. I don't. Groin by these nuts. All right, I'm sorry. I don't know. I don't know which side it is. But why? Oh, you think which leg he puts off? I mean,
did you see how they aligned him and he did that block? He pushed right off his right leg.
He pushed to the left, not to the right in that one.
Well, he pushed with his right leg. So if he's pushing with his right leg, he's going left.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Let me ask you this question. 100% of the offensive snaps is the total that he can play, potentially, if he's in this game. If he plays this game. My question to you is, what percentage do you want to see him play this game?
It depends on how he looks as the game is going. If he looks good, there's no setbacks. He's not favoring is the word I'm looking for. If he's not favoring one side to the other, it would be he could go whatever he could take. If he's favoring, I think they should, lean him out.
Interesting. I think regardless of how he looks, it happens. Sorry. My camera randomly turns off. I don't know why. It's a thing. The audio stays on, but the camera turns off. I'm sorry. But I think regardless of how he looks, Kittle shouldn't play any more than 60% of the snaps this game. I think this is an AFC game, so you don't want to risk them. The NFC games are what's going to count more. And following this game, we have the Rams, then we have the Falcons, or the Panthers, then we have the Falcons. I prefer for him to be more active for these NFC games, and then we have the Chiefs after that. So I want him to, come in here. Let this be the warm-up game. In my opinion, we don't need Kittle out there 100% of the time. You know what I'm saying? That's just my opinion. And then when he's ready, when he's better, let him go out there, work it off, see how he feels following the week. Maybe he misses the first practice, but then you got to be full go for the Rams matchup because that's going to be the one that counts probably the most. Right now, the 49ers are first in the NFC West. We want to stay that way. It's going to help if we can go out here and win this week and then go on and take one from the Rams. So I prefer to have him there. And plus, have you been as disappointed? This is going to be kind of a loaded question because we haven't been scoring a ton of points, but have you been as disappointed with the outcome of the tight ends in George Kittle's absence this season? Because that was a big complaint last year, right? It's like George Kittle's not here, the tight end position kind of vanishes, right? Like they don't really do much of anything. I don't know if I feel the same this season so far.
Listen, I told you numerous times that if Croft could stay healthy, he could add a nice element to this offense. Granted, you saw in the game with the Bears where Trey, I guess, thought he was faster than what he really was and put it over his head a little bit, and it should have been a touchdown, but I like Croft. But Croft's out. I like what Dwelly did last week. The Dwelly's like that guy that's just like that high-effort guy. He's a jack of all trades but master of none. Like, you know what I'm saying? The only real thing I think he's a master of is his hands, like consistent hand catching and stuff like that. I mean, I just feel – did they add a tight end? No, they didn't. When did they do that? They do that Saturday, right? When they start deciding on who they're going to move up Saturday.
Yeah.
I like Dwelly. We have Warner there. So I don't know, man. You said it that they should have added somebody in the offseason, but I really think they believe in what they have, and it's all situational. You'll see Dwelly in on plays. You saw Crofton on plays. You saw Warner on plays, and it's situational football when it comes to their tight end group. When Kittle's not the head honcho or the lead player in that position.
Okay. All right. I was pleasantly surprised with what we got from the tight ends this season so far, and that's blocking, that's pass catching, that's all the above. I thought they really played better in the absence of George Kittle. Down the field, short, intermediate, the blocking. I really like what we saw, and normally that's not the case with the tight ends when George Kittle's not out there. So I was happy about it. Sean has a super chat. He says, "Thanks for the other night." Don't know what that means, but you're welcome. Who are we fooling? How many long balls have you seen Jimmy complete in his tenure? Jimmy's long balls are dead ducks. Usually the wide receiver has to come back to the ball in a go route. I think this is what Tony was kind of alluding to here. But I will say this. This is going to sound messed up, but first you got to know the rules of football. I am okay with taking shots down the field to Danny Gray and Ray McLeod, your speed guys, where 90% of the time the DB's back is going to be turned when those balls are in the air. And if it's underthrown and they stop to adjust, that DB runs into them, that's just as good as a completed pass. Give me the flag every time. That still moves the offense. It's still a first down. The only thing that it messes up is that wide receiver stats. You know, those don't count as a reception. Those don't count as yards for that wide receiver. But when in the importance of the actual game, it's just as important. It is just as important. So if you're not going to hit these guys, don't overthrow them, underthrow them so they can turn around and come back, and then they can draw the flag. That's my opinion on it. I'm not making an excuse for Jimmy, just knowing the rules of the game in general. That's how we lost that game in the rain last year to the Colts. I believe it was last year to the Colts. It was a bunch of deep underthrown passes that our DBs never turned around for. And when they stopped to come back for the ball, boop, contact, boom, a flag, they win that game. You know, that was another game that we should have won in the rain. But you got to take advantage of the rules sometimes. You know what I'm saying? So if Jimmy is throwing ducks out there, throw the ducks to the right people where they respect that speed and these DBs are turning around. They're giving it all they got. Don't throw those ducks to guys like Juwan Jennings because the DBs will get their heads around in time.
And another thing, like he has poor deep ball accuracy, like ball placement. So, will it be correct? Is that something that could be corrected from this surgery? Did the surgery give him the ability to get a little more spin on the ball, a little bit drive on that ball, and to be able to rip it? These are all things we don't know. These are all things we're just going to have to watch and continue to just keep an eye on. But as far as Jimmy, what I would love to see him do to really try to get the defense to play honest is you take your two speed guys, right? And you motion them so they get free releases. Now, when you motion somebody, that means your defender cannot get their hands on them and jam them. McLeod, Gray's 6'1", 195 pounds. McLeod's in the 5'9", 5'10 range. So what they should do is, have them flexed all the way out, motion them in, and then let them take off. I would love to see Jimmy on a play action and have either McLeod or Gray run a deep crosser across the field in front of the safety's place and let Jimmy just put it to the sideline. So now it's going to be out of bounds, or it's going to be a caught, or it's going to be a ball that's batted down. Now the question is, can he do this? Is he going to, go back to his flat-footed, just flick of the wrist, throws down the field? He's got to be able to shift his weight and make that throw and put velocity behind it and get that spin on it to get it to that spot where it needs to be. And by designing a throw like that, you are literally giving the quarterback the easiest throw. It's either going out of bounds or it's going to the receiver. It's not like it's going to be deep where you have the safety coming over unless he hangs it up, but it's something that I just want to see it happen. I want to see these speed guys get involved. They invested money in McLeod. They invested a draft pick in Gray. I do think they have the ability to be successful with a quarterback like Jimmy Garoppolo, but it's got to be on design and these guys getting free releases off the line of scrimmage.
True or false, Tony? The 49ers' success in this next coming game is solely on the backs of the defense.
No. I say false. I say it's on Jimmy.
Wow.
Because the way I look at it is, right, the Denver Bronco offensive line, Garrett Bowles is a solid player. He's a grabby player. And if it's Nick Bosa, it depends on the refs. Are they going to give Nick Bosa calls? Their interior offensive line, they drafted a kid last year, Reisner from Kansas State. He's a scrappy dude, so that's something I want to see with Kinlaw getting involved with him. Their center, I think, is Cushenberry, I think, from LSU. I don't know the rest of the guys, but I do like the depth and the matchup of the defensive line versus their offensive line. And like I said earlier in the show, Russell Wilson's not that runaround guy anymore. He's more of a pocket guy now. So now you are restricting his launching space from the width of the field to a pocket. So if they take their lanes, they rush responsible, they send a blitzer off the edge. I honestly feel if that defensive line can get there, I think it's going to help the secondary. I think it's going to help the second level. But now it might come down to where Kyle needs to throw a ball and make a big play, and Jimmy needs to make that play now, right? We all said Kyle's going 100% in on the run, right? 30 to 35 attempts a game is going to be the norm. Play action off of it. There could be a couple shotgun lineups where Jimmy just dinks and dunks down the field, a couple tunnel screens with Debo getting the ball in his hands quick. But there might come a point in this game where it's 3rd and 7 and Jimmy needs to make a throw. Down by 2 or only a 3-point lead in the fourth quarter. Jimmy's going to have to make that throw, and he's got to show it that he can do it. And that's why I think it's sorely on Jimmy, because the taste in my mouth from last year, he couldn't make those throws when it was needed. So we're right back into square one with a better surrounding cast. So let's see how it works out.
I think the talent around Jimmy is much better. I think the offensive line for Jimmy is better this year. Now, we've played some really good pass rushers so far. We've played some good defensive tackles. We played some good edge guys. No one's talking about it because we haven't just had a game where our quarterbacks are getting plastered all game long. So it seems like we haven't played anyone, but we've gone up against some solid defensive linemen so far. And especially in the rain where these guys are reacting to the moves that those defensive line, that's an advantage for the defensive line. A rain game, in my opinion, is an advantage for them. Now, maybe they can't get their footing the right way. I don't know. But as far as the move that they're going to make, it's easier for them to go ahead and make those moves, and it's much, much harder in the rain for offensive linemen to react. But let me ask you this question about Russell Wilson. Switch to the other side of the ball. In the last 19 games, would you say that Russell Wilson is more of a scrambling quarterback, less of a scrambling quarterback, or on par for what we know him to be?
I think he's less.
He's less. I agree. I agree so much.
That's how it favors our defensive line, because now it's not I'm not going to say it's not a mobile guy, but it's not a run first guy. It's a guy that's going to sit in the pocket and try to wait for something. And if something's not there, he'll try to peel out and try to run. So he's going to be sitting back there. So these guys, I think, are going to have an opportunity to get back there and make some noise. Listen, they don't have to sack him on every play, nor do I expect them to. But I will tell you this. If you get him thinking and you get his feet shoveling, you start seeing him pat that ball, I think they could get to him and throw something off, and they could hopefully make a turnover, something like that. I'm not saying the Niners are going to blow the shit out of the friggin' Broncos by all means, but it's
they're not going to blow anybody.
It's blow them out. That's horrible. They're not going to blow out the Broncos, what I'm basically saying. I see someone in here just said, Russell Wilson is his daddy. But when Russell Wilson was as dominant as he was, there was a better team around him in Seattle with a better defense, and Moose is a running back. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, let
me ask you this. Did you consider the last game a blowout?
No, because the way it ended.
It's gonna sound crazy, but bro, we won that game by 20. How many more points do you need to count it as a blowout?
But they left more on the field. If you think about it, the field goal that was blocked, that should have been 7 points.
Well, okay, let's say that field goals go through, and all the rest of the game goes the way that it does. We finished that game 30-0, Tony. That one play, you consider it not a blowout?
I see I see it as what was left on the field.
Wow.
I think there was.
If it was 17-37, would you consider that a blowout?
Huh?
17-37, would you consider that a blowout? It's still a 20-point win.
Yeah, but like I'm not looking at numbers, Mike. I'm looking at performance on the field. There's a difference. Okay. I'm not a guy that watches stats and this and shit. I don't give a shit. I look at what I see, and I see punts, and I see field goals. I'd say that is leaving stuff on the field. When you settle for a field goal because your offense can't punch it in, that is, you know what I'm saying?
It's troublesome.
Yes.
I get it, because against a good offense, you gotta really take advantage of those situations. So
now if you're telling me, let's say instead of the 2 field goals, what was the final score?
27-7.
So they kicked what? 1.
We kicked 2 field goals. We made 2 field goals. We had 3 touchdowns. We made 2 field goals, and we had 1 blocked for a 7-point return.
All right. So let's say they added 2 field goals. They scored an extra 10 points. You know what I'm saying? So out of 2, so I'm looking at it as 3 attempts, and you came up with 6 points, right? That's the way I'm looking. As
opposed to the optimal being 21.
21.
I get what you're saying.
If you split the distance and you go 10, then I'd be like, okay, it's not where I want it, but it's you're getting more than what you got. So it's
close.
Right?
I see what you're saying.
So,
I'm with you.
Like I heard David Lombardi said on his podcast today, like, the Seahawks had a 10-point swing. I said, how is there a 10-point swing? He's like,
he's right.
Yeah, but you can't factor in taking 3 from San Francisco and returning it for a touchdown because the 3 was never on the board for Seattle. The final score was 7.
Yes, but it's still a 10-point swing. We
But
gave them 7.
Seattle 10 points.
It's a 10-point swing because so that one play we were -3 and they were +7. That's a difference of 10. That one play was a 10-point swing. He's right. He's right.
But the way he said it, it was they had 10 points. He said it. That's why I was like, it doesn't make sense that you're telling me that Seattle gained 10 points off that play when the final score was 7.
I get what you're saying. Yeah, they didn't gain 10 points, but it was definitely a 10-point swing. I understand what he was saying. I get it. Because I said the same thing in that same moment. I was like, oh my God, that's a 10-point swing. We can't let it go out like that. We gotta come back. And that's when I was like, we're not scoring anymore. I got really negative, like, you know what I mean? Like, I was like, we're not going to score anymore. And then luckily, we did end up getting in the end zone one more time. So that was good for the Niners. And by the way, I like the Browns elf logo. I had this game back in the day called, it was on Sega. It might have been Madden, where you could press different combinations when selecting your teams, like of the A, B, and C button. And then he would go boom or bam, and another team would pop up. You just had to like know a combination of buttons to press. And there was this old ass like 1964 Browns team, and it was the elf logo, and I love playing with them. They had a Bills logo, a Patriots logo where it was a guy snapping the ball, like the old militia uniforms, snapping the ball. That was another team that I like to play with, just because it was something that you didn't see in the common NFL anymore. That logo was gone. I like when teams bring back the old school logos, man. I really do. So, got 2 graphics to show, then we can get out of here. We've had a nice long night so far. These 2 graphics are going to talk about players on the defense here. We're going to start with Tracy Sandler's tweet here. She says, from the Prospector, Nick Bosa has 7 quarterback hits, tied for first in the NFL, 3 sacks, tied for third in the NFL, and 3 tackles for loss, tied for 5th in the NFL. That doesn't sound like a lot, right? When you first see the tweet, it's like, all right, so. But then when you stop and think about it, this is over just 2 games. And one of those games was in the nasty, nasty rain. I talked about how that favors the defensive player here. Tony, is Nick Bosa about to set a record? If he's getting 3 sacks every 2 games, so let's cut it down to 16. That's 8. So 8 times 3 is 20. 8 times 3 is 24. And you got to add 1.5 more. That's 25.5. Nick Bosa's on pace for 25.5 sacks. Is he about to go out there and like, ta-da, I'm here? Does he get Defensive Player of the Year now that TJ Watt is out for the next 4 weeks? They actually think that TJ Watt's going to come back in a week and a half or 2 weeks because they didn't put him on IR. But that's neither here nor there. Who, if not Nick Bosa, who? And what do you think about those stats? I'll pop them back up there for you again. So
I think Bosa's on a mission this year. He's looking to get paid, and I think he's definitely going to go absolutely insane with the sack total this year. I don't know a number, but if he keeps on this pace, he's got 3 sacks. If he gets another sack a game, we play what? 4 to 15 games. It's 15 sacks.
A sack and a half a game finishes the season at 25.5.
That's what was Strahan's record? 22.
Strahan has a record for all-time sacks?
I think so. Yeah. Remember the game where Brett Favre just slid down, or was it Aaron? Was it Brett Favre?
My man in Buffalo has the. Oh, they weren't counting sacks as a stat back then. Is it
no?
Smith?
Strahan has the sack number. It's 20. It's either 20.
I thought JJ Watt had it. Let me see. Sack record NFL. Let's see what it is. Chris Dolman. What the fuck? It says Chris Dolman. He and a teammate Keith Miller combined for 39 sacks, most ever by a duo. Why is that the first thing that pops up? Like, why would I? Yeah, Michael Strahan. You're right. 22.5. Justin Houston. I remember that season, 2014. 22. Jared Allen, 22. J.J. Watt, I know is up there somewhere. There he is, 20 and a half. There's a couple of guys with 22. Mark Gastineau. Chris Dolman had 21 sacks. Reggie White, 21 sacks. Aaron Donald had 20 and a half. J.J. Watt, 20 and a half. J.J. Watt again with 20 and a half. Lawrence Taylor, 20 and a half. DeMarcus Ware, 20. Derek Thomas, 20. Tony, can Nick Bosa get in the top 20 of all-time sacks? He's got to get 19 or more. Can he do it this year?
He could. I think he could.
This kind of shit excites me, man. It really does excite me, man. I'm sorry. I'm getting hype. Let me chill out. All right. Here's another one for you, man. I got a question. One more graphic for you here. This is Travarius Ward. Now, listen, man. I know everyone's calling him Mooney now because he came out and said people that know me call me Mooney. I don't know this man. I am always going to call him Travarius Ward. I know that he said people that know me call me Mooney, like everybody, like teachers, coaches, they all call me Mooney. That's cool. They know him. I don't know this guy. I have no idea who he is. I see people tweeting like Mooney Ward said whatever. Mooney Ward just did this. Mooney did this. And I have to I'm not hesitating because I know who they're talking about, but I don't know. Anyhow, lowest completion percentage in the NFL since 2021. That's not just counting here at the Niners, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
That is all of last season and through this season so far. The last 2 years. He is number one, and there's a big gap difference, right? So look at the gap between number one and number two, all right? You're talking almost 3 full percent. And then look at the gap between 2 and 3. It's 0.8%.
Look who number 3 is, a former 5th-round draft pick by the Niners.
Yeah, and that guy they tried to stash, and that pissed me off. And that was just bad. But anyhow, minimum 60 targets. And this guy is a corner. DJ Reed is playing what position? Isn't he playing safety?
He's playing safety. He played everywhere. Nickel, safety, outside.
Safety and nickel, right? Yeah.
He played both safeties too, I think.
Travarius Ward is out there doing his thing. Niners pride with the tweet. 49ers cornerback Travarius Mooney Ward has been money via next-gen stats. Lowest completion percentage in the NFL since 2021. I don't care about the guys that were doing it in 2018, 2019, 2020, right? I want to know about what you're doing right now. And this is it. Do the 49ers have the best corner in the NFL right now, Tony? Come on, man. Give it to me, bro. Say yes. Come on, Tony. You can say it. Don't be scared. Do we have the best corner in the NFL, bro?
Based on those numbers, yeah, you have to say it.
Let's go, man.
That's the scariest part of it all. Look at this. Agent 49 just said it. Wait till Jimmy gets back. Ward. Wait till Jimmy Ward gets back. And that's going to be interesting.
Oh, okay. Here you go. How do you think that affects Mooney?
It doesn't affect him. I just think it's going to make the defense even better. With that type of speed and IQ back there. And I'm telling you, bro, that Jimmy Ward, we talked about it. Who's the most important player to lose? And I think I said Warner. I think you said Jimmy Ward. It's Ward, Jimmy Ward.
I said Ward. I definitely said Ward. And the team hasn't missed a beat. So maybe I was wrong, Tony. I could have been wrong on that. All right. I don't know if you're going to be on the show tomorrow night with Benjamin Allbright. Do you plan on joining or no? And if not, I got a couple more questions for you pertaining to the game.
You could ask me now, and then if I join for tomorrow.
All right. So the Niners are traveling. The Niners are traveling out to Denver, Mile High. The stories are gonna come. I hate when the Niners play the Broncos because it's the same reports regurgitated every single year. The altitude and the breathing and da-da-da. Like, I don't need to see articles on that anymore. I can revisit the ones from the last 12 years where we played them 3 times. Like, I don't need to see those articles anymore, but they're going to come out. People are going to talk about the altitude and all that stuff. What are your keys to victory for the 49ers Let's do offensive side of the ball, then we'll do defensive side of the ball. Then I'm going to ask you for a final prediction.
Offensive side of the ball, they got to solidify the run, and Jimmy has to make the plays. Jimmy has to make the passes that are basic passes. He has to make the throws that are schemed open. It can't be like, pat, check down. It's got to be, if the throw's there, you're going to make the throw. You have the quickest release in the league. You're known for that. It's been talked about all off season. If it's there, let it rip. Your shoulder's fixed, let it go. Let it rip, and that's it. And just, if they can run the ball, if they can protect Jimmy, I think I'm going to stick with my 30 to 35 rushing attempts and a balanced attack on offense. What was the rushing attempts last week, and they still managed to fit like 2 yards off from being 50-50 in total yards.
You said last week, right? You're not talking about the season total?
No, just what was it last week? They were like 149 to like 151 or something. No, passing yards.
Well, I thought you wanted to know how many rushing attempts. I'm sorry. So
no, how many rushing yards?
184 passing yards and 189 rushing yards. We had more rushing yards than we had passing.
I think if it sticks to that, I think the Niners should not have a tough time beating them. I mean, it's all about – what was the possession of the clock?
Yeah, 38 minutes versus 21 minutes.
Yeah, and
absolutely insane.
That's what Kyle wants to do.
Yeah, you want to do that, but that's not realistic, bro. Like, come on now. That's not realistic, Tony.
But if you have success running the ball, it's very realistic because you control the pace.
This is where I disagree with you. I think I disagree with you. Let me say it first. I don't think it's about success running the ball. I know that sounds cliche. I think it's about your defense getting those guys off the field 3 and outs. Well, I think that us getting their offense off the field just gave us more opportunities. Their time of possession and a 3 and out. They had a 3 and out. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
They had a 3 and out that lasted 57 seconds.
Correct.
That's why our time of possession is slanted the way it is.
But then if the Niners come out and have an 9-minute drive on all run plays, that's what I'm talking about. If your defense plays if their defense knows their role and plays their job, and the offense can have success running the ball, that's how you have the outcomes that we had last week. You're not forced to start spreading the ball all over the place and putting him in positions where he's not comfortable making these throws. And then the next thing you know, you're behind 2 scores. That's why I think Kyle's going into this saying 30 to 35 attempts a game. That's it. I'm done.
Did you see that tackle by Bush?
No, I was looking down.
How much time is left in the game? Did you see that run on second down just now?
He literally picked him up.
Phenomenal tackle, bro. I knew this guy was about to score.
Oh my God, his knee buckled. Holy Christ.
Yeah, I've never seen a guy by one person. Look. I just knew he was going to take that momentum into the end zone. Wow. What a phenomenal tackle by him. Holy smokes.
Well, he got under it.
You should have seen it in live time, bro. Like look how he could push that pile, but one-on-one, he couldn't do it before. That is insane. I knew he was going to score on that last play. All right, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off, but go ahead.
Yeah, I don't even know what the hell I was saying.
So your key to the game for the offense is running the ball successfully, maintaining possession of the ball. What about on defense? What you got for us?
Defense, they just have to play to their keys and play 49ers defense, and that's it. They just got to.
That's a generic answer. Let me ask you. I'm going to put more pressure on you here.
Well, hold on. How is it a generic answer when they've done that week in and week out, except for stupid penalties?
No, but because that's always the game plan. Huh? I'm just saying that's always the game plan. Like, let's get them off the field. Let's stick to our cues. Don't make any mistakes or penalties. Like that's why I'm saying it's a generic. That's what we do. That's why our defense is so good. So let me be clear. I'm not disagreeing with you there. I want to try to get a little bit more out of you. Worst case scenario, the Niners defense, not special teams, the defense can give up blank amount of points and we still win this game. Give me the most amount of points we can give up and we still win this game.
That I don't know.
If the defense gave up 17 points in this game, do you think we can still win?
It depends on what goes on the other side. That's why I said your best defense is a run game by keeping the offense on the sideline. If your defense can, if just put it like this, if Kyle's going to rush for 30 to 35 attempts and it's going to be a low scoring game, that means the offense is not having that much success. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I came out and said on offense, establish the run and just make the plays that he needs to play, make the throws that he needs to complete in the game. So if you come out and play 49er football, run it, ground and pound, time of possession, defense cause turnovers, and get after the quarterback and force 3 and outs. That's 49er football now.
Ground and pound falls apart in the red zone 90% of the time.
Okay.
If you have a team that runs the ball really well all game long, they typically struggle in the red zone because now your secondary can also play the run. So my question is this, and let me try to change it up a little bit. You talked about how you didn't consider it a blowout based off of 3 field goal attempts or 3 scoring attempts, and only one of them being a touchdown or whatever. If they score 20 points, the Niners have to have 4 scoring drives to tie that. That's 2 touchdowns and 2 field goals. Right? You with me so far? Okay. If they score 22 points, do you think the Niners can win this game? That means that we have to have 5 scoring drives. That means that we have to have 3 touchdowns and 2 field goals to win this game. Do you think this 49ers Jimmy Garoppolo led offense can put up 5 scoring drives on a team? Forget the outcome of touchdowns, field goals, or whatever. Do you think we have 5 scoring drives in this game?
I don't know.
Not confident.
I don't know what Jimmy's going to show. I don't know where Jimmy is. I don't know where he is. I don't know. I mean, how many throws did he make last week? He had 12 attempts? 15 attempts?
I got it pulled up right here. Jimmy Garoppolo finished the game with 21 attempts for 13 completions.
So 13 for 21. So he missed 8 throws.
66%.
What was his average?
7.3 yards per attempt. He finished with only 154 and a touchdown.
I don't know. I'm going to say yeah because I'm a Niner fan, but football-wise,
five scoring drives is hard for this team. We know that, even with Trey.
It is. It is hard, but the way I'm trying to look at it is if they're having success with the run game, if it's close and they're not getting blown out, I think they could do it. But if they get like a 2-score lead on them and they force to become one-dimensional,
if who gets a 2-score lead?
The Broncos.
Oh, if the Broncos get a 2-score lead, okay.
Yeah, the Broncos.
So the key is to just keep it close.
That's what I think Kyle's going to do.
All right, man. That's going to do it, guys. Unless you guys
know, I just don't know. This guy didn't do nothing all offseason except for throw passes to the strength and development coach. I mean,
he threw passes the ball boys. You could call it what it was.
Yeah, like I mean, how can we sit there and say I know exactly where he is? I know how the shoulder is. We don't know shit.
I think 5 scoring plays is a lot for the Niners. I think if we go 2-2, that puts the Niners at exactly 20 points. We got to keep them to 17 points or less if we want to win this game. That's how I see it. We got to keep them to 17 points or less. They are only throwing one touch. They only scoring, I should say, 1 touchdown a game. So we got a good shot at it. What we can't do is revert back to the 2020 season where the 49ers were everybody's get-right game. They said, oh, you can't run the ball. Then the Niners give up 170 rushing yards. Oh, you can't throw the ball.
There's a lot of reason that has to be accounted for in that, right? You trotted out Josh Norman as your starting quarterback, and teams just literally ran go routes on him, and there was a flag thrown on every play. So you're flip-flopping the field position in a matter of, 10 seconds?
Yeah.
Plus you're getting a first down, even though you're not completing the pass. So that you have to put that's the main context of that whole topic right there, was who they trotted out as their corners, and because of the situation that the corners put that team in, the offense almost became one-dimensional. So you have that, and then you have that, and then you put that together, and it spells a disaster. Because, we all agree, and we all said last year, he's not that guy. Jimmy's a system quarterback. He's got to be the system has to be able to work for him to have success, meaning run, play action. And then there's times where he could sit in the shotgun and try to dump it off real quick on a Texas route, a tunnel screen to the left or a right with Debo, the reverse, maybe a reverse pass we might see. So there's all factors in this. It depends. I think the defense is a lot better than last year. There's more depth in the defensive line. There's the secondary is upgraded all around except for Jimmy Ward. But there's a lot. There's a lot you have to take it. And what's the weather? Because the last 2 weeks they played in the rain.
If we have 3 rain games in a row, I swear to God, this team is cursed.
I told you it was a cloud fall this year.
Denver forecast, Sunday, sunny, 76 degrees. Ladies and gentlemen, that is perfect football weather. And by the way, when we go to play the game around 8 p.m. Oh, wait, what time zone are they in? They're an hour behind us?
Western. Mountain, sorry.
So they're 1 hour behind us.
2.
All right, so 6 p.m. their time, it is, oh, shit, that is saying 80 degrees. Oh, no, that's Tuesday. Hold on. Sunday. Let me click Sunday. 6 p.m. Sunday, we're looking at a beautiful 70 degrees.
Good.
That is perfect football weather right there, baby. That is perfect. Robbie Gould is going to have his longest field goal of his career. Robbie Gould's going to make a 63-yard field goal in this game. If you got him in fantasy, you put his ass in. No rain, clear skies, baby. Let's go. Let's go.
Oh, God, man.
Let's go. All right, that's going to do it, man. Tony, you know what time it is at the end of every show. We do final thoughts. Go ahead and give it to me, man. If you got anything else to say, I don't know if I'm going to see you tomorrow on the show with Ben Allbright. We'd love to have you here. If you can't make it, I completely understand. Thanks for breaking this down so far. We didn't really get into Denver, but that's what I'm going to do with Ben Allbright. So we did that by design, guys. Make sure you guys have those notifications set. We don't have a time set yet because Ben's schedule is crazy. All right, but we will be back live tomorrow at some point with Ben Allbright. Tony, final thoughts. Let's go home, man.
I pretty much touched on it. The offensive line has to continue to develop and continue to progress forward. Jimmy's just got to play to the system. If he can make the throws that are open, the offense should be okay. If the run game could get going, the balance, everyone kept saying, well, why the hell did you draft another back in the 3rd round? Well, because we're down 2 backs already this year. It is in week 3. So, Sermon wasn't the guy. Sermon wasn't a fit in San Francisco, so they moved on and they brought these guys in. So expect to see a heavy dose of Jeff Wilson, potentially Mack and Mason. I don't think they pull anybody else up. I don't even think they add. Oh, yeah, they added Tevin Coleman. So it's going to be interesting to see that if Coleman's going to get elevated or not, and if we see Coleman before we see Mack. So I think that's going to be interesting what Kyle thinks there. To be honest with you, talent-wise, I think it should be Mack, even though he hasn't been the same since he came off the Achilles. But the tie is to Tevin Coleman. Does that supersede the talent? So the defense, I just want to see pressure from Bosa. Armstead's got a foot. He didn't practice today, so there's a little question for his availability for this weekend. I just want to see the defense to continue to play at the level that they're playing. Turnovers, pressure in the backfield. The linebackers are flying around the second level. Just got to play smart football because Russell Wilson's a slider and he will bait your ass. So just, heads up football. Yeah, I mean, for a score, I think if all the stars align, I think the Niners could walk out of there. Shit, I don't know. I think the Niners could walk out of there potentially.
Come on, just say 2017, man. You know it. You know it, and I know it.
I don't know. 2017 is a good number, but I'm going to go 24-20.
24-20. Tony, that's a lot of scoring drives for the Niners. That's so many scoring drives for the Niners, man.
I think it's going to be around the 24-20 range. It could be more, it could be less. The Niners could lose. But I just think right now, as good as this defense is playing, and the offensive line is starting to – it's not there yet, but it's starting to get there. Like, especially the interior, the biggest question marks, it's starting to get there. I think the Niners could do their business and leave. But again, listen, we are playing Russell Wilson, like Daniel Garcia just said. I didn't want to say it, but I just looked at the chat and it popped right up, so I had to say it. So you just got to tame and control Russell Wilson. Keep him in the pocket, knock him around a couple times. He's going to get the flags. He does his flailing, so just be heads up about that. And that's all I got. You're mute again.
God damn it, guys. That's it for Tony. I'm going to remind you guys now to head on over to our Patreon. I know it's on prime time, but we will be watching the game live. And the first live show of the season means one thing on the 49ers, Nothing But Niners Patreon. Fireworks, baby. Get ready to hear those fireworks going off after every touchdown. You're going to hear the foghorn. That's going to be sounding. And then you're going to hear fireworks going off right afterwards. So you guys make sure you guys are in the place to be. Head on over there. This has been a fun time. I want to thank you guys for checking us out. I'm going to play an advertisement out of obligation. So if you guys want to leave the chat now is the time to do it. Tony, let's go home, man. Prepare for glory.
Anticipate pain.
But always remain faithful. We're out of here, guys. Today's show is brought to you by our partners over at prizepicks.com. That is prizepicks.com. All right. If you guys have never been there before, this is good. I got something special for you. All right. Go over there to prizepicks.com, sign up, put in your email. It's going to ask you for a promo code. Plug in NB9ERS, like NB Niners. You see it right behind me. You see it at the bottom of the screen. Promo code NB9ERS. You want to bet $10, they're going to match your $10. You're getting free money, guys. You want to bet $50, they're going to match your $50. You want to put in and deposit $100, guess what they're going to do? They're going to match $100. You guys are getting free money here. And then you get to go have a lot of fun. The sign up is easy as you could possibly think of. I'm not kidding, guys. All you need is an email address, and all you need is to put in your password, and then boom, put in the promo code. Zach, let's show people how easy it is, all right? Zach is my Vanna White tonight, okay? He's going to do-do-do-do-do. All right, so we're going to go here. You guys can see it. Boom, promo code, continue. He's going to put in his full name. I'm going to take that down because I don't want you guys to see all his personal information over there, all right? And then as soon as he's done, we're going to put in the card number. We're going to show you guys just how easy it is. And then we're going to do a little something with the 49ers and Bears game, all right? I think we know this team pretty well. Let's just see exactly how well we know this team, all right? Heading into tonight and looking at what we got going on. Anything that's for George Kittle right now, I'm taking the under, guys. I'm taking under because George Kittle might not even play. So if he's listed over there, I got to take the under, right? I think, Zach, that's the smart thing to do at this point, right?
Gotta be.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, all right. So we're going to show you guys just how simple, how easy this is. We're going to have a lot of fun with it, all right?
All right, I'm all ready to go.
All right, here we go. So, guys, we are on full screen now. Again, guys, this is our partners over here at prizepicks.com. Again, prizepicks.com. All you got to do is use the promo code NB9ERS. You don't want to put in the promo code. You don't like that kind of stuff. That's fine. We have a direct link for you here. bit.ly/nothing-but-niners. All
We all gas, no brakes, pumped up, no fakes. We spinning, we winning, we high stakes. We never miss, we all makes. Look at us dudes trying to prove, bringing you news with nothing to lose. Mike, Nick, Tony, Wayne, Method Man, we bring the pain. Hey, see, I'ma confess it. We under the pressure. If you looking to find us, them nothing but Niners. We nothing but Niners. We nothing but Niners. We nothing but Niners. We